Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into something a lot of you have been asking about: Christian journaling.
Always a popular one.
It really is. And, we ask you to send in stuff you'd love us to take a deep dive on. And
Mm.
one listener sent in, well, this fantastic article: 50 Christian journal prompts.
Oh, that's a good one.
Isn't it? I mean, 50. Talk about having a starting point. I mean, honestly, who has the time to just come up with 50 insightful questions?
It's true. And, it's like having a spiritual mentor almost, hand you this whole like curated toolkit.
Yes.
But just like any good toolkit, you don't need every tool for every project, right?
Right.
But having the right one at the right time, invaluable.
Exactly. But where do we even start with something like this? Because 50 prompts, that's a lot to sort of sift through.
Well, I think the structure of the article itself is a really good starting point.
Yeah.
Because by categorizing the prompts, self-reflection, gratitude, spiritual growth, relationships, and purpose, and calling it acts like a map almost,
Okay.
leading you to different areas you might want to explore.
So it's not about trying to tackle every single prompt, but rather about, I guess, finding the ones that really resonate with where you're at right now in your faith journey.
Yes, like a choose-your-own adventure for the soul.
I love that.
And remember, even if you're thinking, well, I've been journaling for years, this is still really good, think of them as those friends who just always seem to ask the right questions.
Oh, yeah.
They prompt deeper thoughts than you might have on your own.
Okay, so sometimes just having that outside perspective, even if it's just on paper, a question on paper, that can spark something.
Absolutely. And that's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
But let's go back to those categories you mentioned for a second. Because they're not just random. They're foundational to the Christian faith.
So it's not just about writing down your thoughts and feelings, but it's connecting those thoughts and feelings back to kind of the core of our faith.
Exactly. Take self-reflection, for example.
Okay.
It's about going beyond, I think, surface-level introspection and examining how our beliefs, our experiences, even our doubts have shaped us.
That makes a lot of sense. For me, I feel like some of the most profound spiritual growth has come from those tougher questions, like those moments where I've really wrestled with doubt.
Exactly. And the prompts in this article, they acknowledge that. For instance, there's one, write about a time when your faith was tested. How did you overcome the challenges? That single question, that can unlock a lot of things.
Wow. It's really interesting how, like, one question can make you think about something in a different way. Like that one we were just talking about your faith being tested. It's easy to shy away from those tougher moments, but maybe exploring those things, like journaling about them, is a way to process those things in a healthy way.
Absolutely. And it's not about dwelling on the negative, right? It's about finding those little bits of wisdom or even growth that are hidden in those tough times.
So we talked about self-reflection. What about some of these other categories?
Well, let's take gratitude, for instance. It's simple, but it's also really powerful. It's about switching your focus from what we lack to all of the blessings, like even just the small everyday things we just don't even notice.
Choosing to focus on the good, and maybe that opens you up to see even more of the good.
Precisely. And the prompts in this section on gratitude are designed to do that. So for instance, one of the prompts is list 5 things you're grateful for about your church community.
Okay.
It might seem simple, but when you actually take the time to think about it and articulate those things, it can really change your whole perspective.
It's true. I feel like it's easy to take things for granted until they're gone. And so this is a good reminder to really think about what we have right now. So beyond self-reflection and gratitude, we have spiritual growth. This feels like one that might push some buttons, right?
Yeah, for sure. Growth, whether it's spiritual or otherwise, it usually doesn't happen when you're, comfortable. So this category is all about challenging ourselves and digging deeper into Scripture.
Taking our faith to the gym.
Exactly. One that stands out to me, it says, explore a parable of Jesus that you find confusing or even challenging. What new insights can you gain? It's about really actively engaging with the Bible and not shying away from the things that are difficult.
Oh, that's really cool, because I think for some people, reading the Bible can almost feel like a chore, but this turns it into like an active exploration instead of just passive reading.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered self-reflection, gratitude, and spiritual growth. Yeah. What about relationships? That feels like a big one, and not just with God, right?
You're absolutely right. This category is about how our faith impacts how we interact with everyone. It makes us really think about how we show love, how we deal with conflict, how we forgive, how we build those authentic connections with others.
It's taking those core values, those Christian values, and seeing how they actually apply to our daily lives and how we interact with the people around us.
Exactly. And there's some great prompts in here, too. This one says, write about a time when someone showed you Christ-like love. How did it impact you? It helps us to see those acts of love in our own lives, and maybe, hopefully, it'll inspire us to do the same.
That's a powerful thought, because we might be the ones demonstrating Christ-like love and not even realizing it.
Right. Okay, so lastly, we have purpose and calling. I'll be honest, this one feels a little daunting to me. It's a big question.
It is a big question. What are we called to do with our lives? Like, where do we even begin to unpack that? It feels so big.
It is big, but I don't think it has to be about some big, plan.
Okay.
It's more about looking at, like, the things we're naturally good at, our gifts and our passions that God has given us,
Yeah.
and figuring out how do we use those to serve.
So less about, like, finding our purpose and more about just living it.
Yes, exactly. And there are prompts in here for that. This one I think is really good. It says, if you could leave one legacy of faith for future generations, what would it be?
Mm.
Like thinking bigger than ourselves. What do we want to leave behind?
I love that. It's like our own spiritual mission statement in a way.
Yeah.
It's cool how all these categories, they all kind of intertwine,
They do.
Yeah.
They're all connected. They're all part of this one big journey.
Which is what makes this, I think, so cool.
Yeah.
Because it helps us take these abstract ideas of faith and make them real.
It's true. It makes it
Yeah.
real and personal.
Okay, but let's talk about the how-to for a second, because you can have all the right prompts in the world, but actually making this a regular habit, it's tough.
Or it definitely can be. I always tell people, just start small, even just 5 minutes a day,
Okay.
because something is better than nothing, right? 5 minutes, it's not that much.
Right. It's those small steps that get you going.
Exactly. And the other thing you can do is pick a place, have a space, even if it's just a corner. That's your journaling spot.
Okay.
That way, when you're there, it's like a signal to your brain, okay, this is my time.
I love that. It's like creating a sacred space.
Yes. And don't be afraid to experiment. Like maybe traditional journaling isn't your thing. There's bullet journaling, even just voice recording yourself, whatever works best for you, because the whole point is to connect with God, right?
Yeah, and it shouldn't feel like homework or something.
Definitely not. And remember, it's a journey, not like a finish line or anything.
Okay.
So be kind to yourself. Some days will be better than others.
Oh, that's a good reminder. Thank you.
And who knows, maybe someday you'll look back at all your journals and be like, wow, look how far I've come.
That's amazing. It's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs.
Yes.
Well, everyone, that's our deep dive. We've talked about the power of Christian journaling, we've looked at some really great prompts, and we've even gotten some practical tips on how to make it a habit.
Remember, it's not about just writing in a journal. It's about connecting with your faith in a deeper way.
And maybe this has inspired you to try it yourself.
I hope so.
We'll see you next time. Keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.